Hey guys, it is Chris back here again with another episode of Historic Brawl. Um, been no audio for the past few days, but I had to get my second COVID vaccine and start a new job, so it was a little less time to actually do these things, but we should be back on track for actual commentary videos. So we're playing a elf deck with Abomination of Llanowar as our commander. It's a pretty decent commander in that one of the problems that Elves has in Historic and in other places as well is that it's hard to recover from a board wipe. Like, if everything's out there and you get wiped, you're pretty much done. But Abomination of Llanowar gets a power boost based on the number of Elves on the battlefield and in the graveyard, so it's really good for a post-board wipe threat if we need it. Otherwise, the plan's pretty simple. If a bunch of Elves, a bunch of small Elves, a bunch of mana-generating Elves, and somewhere in the deck we have a Craterhoof, and we have a few ways to look for Craterhoof. And that's the plan. We find our Craterhoof with our big board of Elves, and we just swing in for lethal. We also have a few Planeswalkers in the deck that kind of work well with it. Tyvar Kell, and Garruk Curse Huntman. He doesn't make Elves, but his overrun effect when he ultimates is well worth an addition. Other than that, we have card draw things like Skimfar Avenger and Beast Whisper. And then the 2-drop we're playing right here, Elvish Warcaller. That, along with another 4-drop creature, basically make Elves when other Elves enter the battlefield. So it helps you get a really big board really quickly. Other than that, the plan hasn't changed. Our opponent is playing, they're playing Kethith, which is a little bit scary. Excuse me. I haven't played too much Kethith in Brawl, but I remember playing against him in Historic and Standard, and he could do some pretty interesting combos, so hey, there it was, Elvish Alessian something. Can't read it off the screen, but you know what it does. Whenever an elf enters the battlefield, you may make a 1/1 elf. Pretty good deal for us. I actually missed a line this turn. I could have sacked my Elf King with the Phyrexian Tower to get back the Journey of Eternity as Itlamok. Not Itlamok, Axicotl, I think it is. I'm actually surprised it lived as long. I thought our opponent might have tried to destroy it, but turns out they didn't want to go down that route. So we have a pretty impressive board. We have Growing Rites of Itlamok in hand, which is probably why it jumped to mine so easily. Next turn we can sacrifice our king after he gets an attack. Then he will come back thanks to Journey to Eternity. We're also going to get down Itlamok here, which will flip at the end of turn, which will basically give us a Gaia's Cradle. Which, if you're not familiar with old Magic, it provides +1 green mana for every creature you have on the battlefield. Pretty good. The actual old card of it, really expensive. Growing Rites of Itlamok were printed for the first time in one of the Ixalan blocks, so it's not very expensive, and for us, it is on Historic, on the Arena client, which makes it playable. And really good in some Elf archetypes. I used to run it in my Historic Elves deck, but with the addition of Elvish Archdruid, it became a little less important. Before Elvish Archdruid was in the format, you used to have to get all of your mana off of the 1/1 for 3 that gets a +1/+1 counter every time an elf enters the battlefield, and then it'll tap for mana equal to its power. That used to be one of the best ways to get mana in an elf deck. And you would run Growing Rites of Itlamok alongside it, because generally you would have more than 4 creatures, and that 4+ mana was sometimes enough to get you your kill condition. Because I don't know if think Elvish Archdruid and Craterhoof were introduced both in Jumpstart, which means you had to kill other ways before Craterhoof came along. Craterhoof made killing an elf a lot easier. Although it also kind of shifted the deck a little bit. But here in Brawl, you can actually play a lot of the things that get pushed out of the deck because you're playing Singleton and you're forced to play 36 cards that are not the same, which means you need some of the other big mana options like Itlamok. Luckily for us, we had drawn our one of Elf Dinosaur Man, and he helped us win the game there. Overall, pretty decent match. We had fun. We will click the fun sign. Opponent might not have had fun, but we did. I really hope that they put Historic Brawl as a permanent queue on the client. It is just such a fun format. It's everything that Brawl wishes it could be. Okay, it looks like our final match of the day will be against another Golgari deck. But I didn't look at the legends too long. But I guess you could technically play Abzan Elves with Kethis as your commander. Although he doesn't have a lot of inherent synergies for elves. If we had a few more legendary elves in the format, that'd be nice. But we don't, so I'm pretty sure Abomination of Llanowar is the best option for current elves in Brawl as far as historic goes. In Standard, you're looking at the King, but the King is not really powerful enough to pull a Brawl deck in Standard. They have a Scavenging who's down. That's kind of bad for us. And they kill our Mana Dork. So bad about Scavenging is that it exiles the creatures in our graveyard, which means they won't contribute to our Llanowar Abomination, which really kind of hurts the central synergy behind our commander, but we're just going to keep running out threats, and then hopefully at some point they won't be able to deal with them, and we can start playing actual Magic. That plan probably won't work, but it definitely is worth a try. So we get on another creature. This is our third attempt at having a presence on the board. Our opponent is running low on cards in hand, so there is a chance that they don't have any follow-ups that can affect us. They swing in, hoping that we'll block, thinking we can trade. We can't trade with that because they had green mana up, but our opponent wanted to see if they could get us. They could not. We play our 5th land, and then we get down our Undergrowth Lich. Undergrowth Lich is actually a really good card. Just in general for formats like this, because it's card advantage, and it's also really hard to get rid of. So, couple the two together, persistent threat can help you filter through some of the cards you don't want. Really good, especially in this deck where it is also an elf, so it also benefits from any of the elf lord effects that we have lying around on the ground. So we're going to block here, and then we're going to make our threat indestructible. That way their creature dies, our creature doesn't. And then we go over to our turn. I was actually just thinking, because I had a moment of pause there where my throat was a little sore. And there actually is... you could technically take elves in the red-green version too. If you want one of the Radas as your commander, which they're all generally good cards. But I brewed around a historic Banefire deck with them. So you have a lot of mana historic elf, so conceivably Banefiring somebody for 10 to 20 isn't as hard as it sounds. But I think I deleted the deck and forgot about it, so that might be a future thing that we end up seeing. Elf Fireball. Our opponent is thinking over their options. They have a god on field. He has Death Touch. Unfortunately for the god, he will be blocked by our Lich, and then our Lich will become indestructible. They're gonna make a sacrifice a creature. We don't really need our Elvish Reclamation Sage anymore. So we block, pull off the same stone as last time. It gets tucked back in the deck because that's how the gods from at least Amonkhet to War the Spark work. The new gods are pretty puny in that regard, but we actually drew a Craterhoof here, so Craterhoof kills everything. And that is actually the second game. So I'd like to thank you all so much for watching, and if you liked the video, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.